All right, and we're live. Hi, Houston. How's it going? Welcome.
Hey man, good to be here. Thanks for having me on. I'm very excited.
Yeah, super good to have you here, everybody. My name's Keaton Walker. You know me, but this is Houston. He's the CEO of a company called 97 Display, who does they're doing amazing things in the local business website space. And when I found out about what they were doing and the price point they offer it at, I had to bring him on and let all of you orthodontists know about it because of how business changing and life changing it could be. These guys have really come up with an amazing solution to a really big headache that tons of small businesses have. And so I'm super excited for you guys to get a lot of free value today. And then also for Houston to hopefully get some awesome clients out of this who are looking for websites that actually convert and, an SEO package included in that. That's just phenomenal. So Houston, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself personally, like where you live, your background, and then a little bit about 97 Display as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you said, I work for a company called 97 Display. We're located in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. It's just about an hour north of Charlotte. There's about 30 of us here. And man, it's just been a really, really fun ride. So we've been around for about 9 years as a company, and we've always served local businesses, specifically local businesses that have a brick and mortar location, because we're just so excited. Like, our passion is to build a great business alongside great people. And that's what our commitment is as a company. And so we really don't look at people we work with as clients, but really we look at them as partners, because when our clients are successful, that's how we're successful. And so we've been in that space for, like I said, about 9 years, and we primarily concentrate just on one thing, and that is delivering a great lead generating website. And so obviously there's a lot of things about websites that we're going to get into. There's look and feel, there's branding, there's customization, but really we like to partner with people whose main focus of their website is to generate leads, and not just be there for like a pillar to say, hey, I have a website, it looks good on a business card. And so, yeah, as we get into this, we're going to be talking about some values. Even if you decide that, hey, we're not a great fit, or you have a good solution, or you have a website guy, we're going to go over a couple things that you really should look at in this webinar, that you could make changes to today to start seeing better conversion from your local community on your website. So you're going to want to stay tuned as we kind of get into that, and I'll make sure to give you guys some good pieces of value, regardless of if we ever talk again or not.
Awesome. Love that, Houston. And you personally, you're the CEO of 97, right?
Mm-hmm.
But fairly recently put in that position, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been with the company about 3 years, and it's just a classic story. I started running the sales team, and then we were a young company. So our median age, we have 30 people, and there's only 2 people over 35 in our company.
Oh, wow.
So we're actually owned by a publicly traded large company that we love, and they help us out a lot. And yeah, so I took over as president right before COVID. Obviously, COVID was a crazy ride for us, as we help a lot of small businesses. And whether you're impacted a lot or a little, everyone was impacted. It was certainly a significant year for small businesses. And so it really just made us double down on the value we bring to our clients, because we are always month to month. So we never have anyone in contracts. And so during that time, the current CEO had an opportunity to go work for our mother company, to go look at some other businesses. And so, yeah, I took over that role just here recently, and we're excited to start 2021 with partnerships like this. I love working with people like Keaton, services that he offers. I think that looking at your business from like a holistic perspective is the people we like to work with. That's what I always say. That's why I love going to trade shows, because I tell people, look, the people who come to trade shows and they're willing to invest the time and the money to go learn and invest in their business, those are the people that I like working with, because those are the people we typically find do the best with our platform. Because the truth of the matter is, I'm sure Keaton you would agree, businesses that just take one piece, or just take one little piece of advice and piecemeal things together, they're going to be frustrated by the results sometimes. But the truth of the matter is, there are formulas out there that work. And you just have to find people that you can trust to do it. And we were talking a little offline about how hard that can be, because there are a million marketers out in the market right now, because it's a very low barrier to entry to say you're an online marketer or you do websites for SEO. So it's
Yeah,
harder for us to navigate the water sometimes with all of the people in the market.
exactly. I had an orthodontist tell me marketing nowadays is like the Wild West. I don't know who to trust. and who not to trust. So maybe you can start off there, Houston, just telling us about, what are the other website options out there that a lot of these orthodontists have probably bought into at some point, and the issues with those, and then the difference with what you guys offer at 97.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a few philosophies to your website, and we'll kind of get into the like basics and what websites need to do and what you should be expecting from your website. Because I think that's very important. Because some of you, if you're on this call, you're at least interested in what your website could do better. And I think it's really important to have good expectations of what you should be expecting from your website. But there are a few ways to approach websites, and I tell everyone it's going to cost you. It's either time or it's going to cost you money. And typically, your time is much better spent on money generating activities for your business, because there are certainly things that you who are listening can do for your business to generate money that you can't offload to marketers. And there are certain things that marketers can do unless you're doing it full time, just better than you can. And so I never recommend like doing your own like WordPress website or something like that. It's just, even if you do a good job at it, it's going to take way more time. And we'll kind of get into the reasons why here in a bit. But another really common thing that I know is people spend a lot of money lump sum onto a website. So they'll spend $5, $10, $15,000 on a really great custom website. And this is typically written on, built on WordPress or some third-party platform. And then once they have the website, it's kind of like you buy a new car. It's yours. You drive it off the lot. It gets less valuable. And then 5,000 miles, it needs an oil change or a problem comes up. And the problem is, it's just another headache for you to deal with. And typically, the people that you pay to do your website, they took their money and they got all the value they need from you. And it's kind of you're on your own for what is next on your website. So when I speak at conferences and I meet clients, one common thing I find is year after year after year, website is a problem that comes up for them. And that's why they come on webinars like this. That's why they talk to marketers. That's why they go to trade shows and sit in a conference, is because they know that their website needs something and they don't know what it is, and the solution they currently have isn't filling that need. At 97, we take a unique approach. So we go the subscription model. So you actually don't buy a website and then you're on your own with us. What we do is we actually, at our heart, are a software company. So we developed and own our own IP and our own platform in which we write all websites on. And that allows us to do a couple really cool things. One, it allows us to have 1,000 websites up and live right now. And when Google makes a change on how they want the meta tags to look or how they want the pictures to load, et cetera, all we have to do is make a change to our core platform and it automatically updates all of our websites. And so what we find is our clients never have to ask, is my website up to date? Do I have the latest technologies? Am I obeying Google? Because Google comes out with changes all the time. I have a full-time employee. Her only job is to read Google, figure out what Google wants us to do, and figure out how we implement that on a monthly basis to update our sites. And then she feeds that to our whole R&D team. Yeah. And so what we do to kind of separate ourselves from the pack, because I know, like we were talking about, 1 million people, it's the Wild West out here. And building a website is expensive. We have a $325 subscription fee month to month. And it costs us a lot more than that to pay the build team, the implementation team, all the people to do all of the things for you, like writing all of your copy, building your website, helping you with the domain, helping you get your Google My Business, all of your SEO. So we kind of go in the hole for our clients and take that upfront risk. And because it's month to month, now it is on us to bring value to our clients to make sure that they stay around a month 6th, 7th, and 8th, so we can start making money. Because just like the people listening, we're a for-profit business, so we like to make money as well. That's why we do this. But it takes us a while to get there. And so it's really important for us to bring that value to our clients, because if we sold a bunch of websites and then they all canceled 2, 3, 4 months later because they weren't getting their expectations weren't being met, we would just be out of business fairly quickly. So that's kind of the approach we like to take. I think this subscription model is the only way to go with websites, in my opinion, because a website 12 months ago isn't going to cut it today. And 12 months from now, a website today isn't going to cut it. Yeah. And so it's really important to pay attention to that and make sure that your website's constantly being updated to convert as much traffic as possible.
So true. The amount of updates that sometimes they call them slaps, like a Google slap. Yep. And so the algorithm, for those of you who are not too familiar with digital marketing, the algorithm is written in a certain way. And then every few years, especially, Google will come in. I mean, they're making little changes, but every few years they'll just slap. And what was working 5 years ago isn't working today. And even what was working 3 months ago is different
Yep.
than what's going to work today. And so when you work with a company like 97, you get not only a stellar website that's built to convert, but you get a team of people who are doing that R&D for you and updating the website for you every single month so that you don't have to stay on top of all those changes.
Yeah. And
Incredible.
and one thing that I like to point out too is, and business owners understand this, right? It's all about leverage. So one of the things that separates successful business owners versus mediocre business owners in any field is how well they can leverage. Because as you scale, you realize you can't do everything yourself, right? And so you need to stick to your unique value or your one thing that you can do really well and leverage the rest. And the better you can do that, the more successful you're going to be. And that's why at 97 Display we offer free unlimited customer support. And it's not a 1-800 number you call with a bunch of options. It's a person right here, right down the hall from me in North Carolina that knows and loves the brand and is ready to do everything for you, from change your promotions to change the whole look and feel. If you wake up tomorrow and say, hey, I used to have this logo and this color scheme and I decided I want to try this instead, that's what we're here for, is to take your mind off of anything that has to do with technology and anything that has to do with making changes to your website, but making sure you get that end result that you're looking for,
Yeah.
as well as kind of be a guide, because sometimes you may think something is a good idea, and we'll at the end of the day, we want to do what you think is best for your business, but we'll also be there to be a guiding hand to be like, hey, maybe this isn't the best direction to go, or maybe this isn't the best copy to use, or the best button, call to action to have, etc. And that's really, really important.
I love that. So, Houston, before you continue, I just want to tell one story before we kind of jump into
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
patient side. So, last week I reached out to a contact, an orthodontist out in Florida, and got on the phone, and the office manager was telling me like, okay, we have the practice used to be called this, and now it's called this because it got purchased. And this old website, we've got a guy that developed it about 10 years ago, and he still has the password, but we don't know the password. I think it's linked up to his email. And so, long story short, about 45 minutes later, we finally got into the old website. And then the new website he's like, oh, we hired somebody from France. Similar story. They can't get a hold of him. He changed something and then it just reverted back, all of this stuff. And that time, just the time that we were spending on that wasn't worth anybody's time. It's worth
Right.
paying, orthodontist. I talked to an orthodontist and said, hey, I spent $100 to make my office smell good every month. And so paying $325 for unlimited changes to your website and the best of the best when it comes to algorithms and Google and everything else going on with SEO, it's a no-brainer. And that leverage is huge, especially for the
Yeah.
price that you guys are offering it at.
Yeah, one of the things that I try to tell, because you try to empathize when you talk to business owners, because like I said, that's legitimately why I'm in this business, is I love the impact small businesses have on their communities.
Yeah.
And I think that is the way to fix so many of our problems, is to empower small businesses to grow. And leverage is just such an important key component of that, because you can only make so many decisions a day. Your brain gets fatigued, and so it's like, if you're thinking about something specifically, if it's outside of your expertise, simple decisions can become really frustrating and really hard, and that kind of sets the tone and a ripple effect to a lot of other areas to your business. And so I found a lot of people that are missing out on sales or missing out on opportunities because they're spending time thinking about their cleaning service, or thinking about their website, or thinking about their office smelling good. I think that's a great story of, I don't like the office to smell musty. Maybe it's an old building. $100 takes care of it. Never have to think about it again.
Exactly. Well, great. Let's dive into kind of what have you learned in 9 years of local business SEO about design, about SEO? Like, what pillars do you guys focus on? How do we help these small business owners, these orthodontists we're talking to today, on a high level understand, what the heck is going on with websites, and how do we focus on the right things?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to get into a couple example websites we have as well to kind of show you some pieces. But before we do that, I want to go over some really basic marketing 101 terms to make sure that we're all on the same page about what we're talking about. Because obviously, Keaton, you offer some great services that get some great results as well.
Hmm.
And one of the things that's important for people to realize is what we do are two pieces to a great pie, and they're complementary to each other. And it's really important to nail both down really well. In fact,
Yeah.
most of our clients that see the most success work with someone that's successful like Keaton to make sure that they're holistically looking out for the most leads as possible. So what we're going to be talking about is inbound traffic. So what this is these are people in your community right now that are searching for, braces, that are searching for Invisalign. They're searching for the service that you offer, so it's already on their mind. And so one of the big mistakes that I see people make is they treat those inbound leads very similar to the people that they use for these outbound Facebook ads. So the people that you're finding on Facebook, Instagram, Google, these are people that maybe aren't thinking about it right now, but you catch their eye with an ad, you catch their eye with a hook, some type of deal, some type of, free something or discount or something. And that gets them to say, well, 5 minutes ago, I wasn't thinking about Invisalign, but you know what? It's way more affordable than I thought. Let me click on this link. So that's a very different person and a very different mindset than someone that wakes up, goes to their computer, goes to Google and says, I want some Invisalign in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, right? So the first thing to understand is the psychology of the people who we're attracting. And so the first thing to realize is that there are people in your city right now that are searching for your service. The question is, are they going to find you? And if they do find you, are they going to take action or convert to a lead to give you the opportunity to, create a new case or get a new start? And so that is where we come in. So there's two components to that. One is making sure they find you, and that is through SEO, the search engine optimization. And then the second way is once they do find you, to make sure that they take action and that they convert. So let's talk about the second one first, and talk about some of the things that we found to help you make sure that you're converting as many people as possible. So this is the area where maybe you have a website, maybe you're not unhappy with it. One of the things that I would do is encourage you to look at your site and to look at some of this, and maybe there are some changes that you could take away and you could go make today, or call your website guy and make today. So I'm going to pull up just a couple example sites that we have.
Great.
So the first thing that we want is, this is called the first fold. So the first fold is the first thing that you see when your website pops up. So a couple of things that are really important to understand is the first fold needs to be very purposeful, because you only have a few seconds to convey the right message to people before they leave your site. So Google calls this a bounce rate. So a lot of websites have really bad bounce rates, which means someone searches for a service, they find a website, and then they click on the website, and 5 seconds later, they bounce off the website to go to the next one. And there's a lot of reasons why people bounce. One is load speed. So you want to make sure that your website isn't taking a long time to load. And another is the responsive design. And so I don't know how this is going to work on Zoom, actually. So you tell me, can you see my screen getting smaller?
Yeah.
Can you see it moving around a little bit?
Yeah.
All right. So one thing that you want is, what used to be a popular buzzword is mobile friendly sites. So mobile friendly sites essentially meant you had two versions of a website. You had the version for the desktop, you had the version for a mobile phone.
Yeah.
So as you know now, there's 100 different ways you can look at a website. You can look at it on a flat screen TV, you can look at it on a desktop, a laptop, a tablet, a phone, and all of those options have several different screen sizes. And so what happens is a lot of times, someone logs on the website and the words don't sync up right. You can't read everything because it's not oriented correctly for the screen. So it's really important to have a responsive site. So as you can see, no matter what size screen, all of the important stuff, which is this providing our community with a wide variety of dental services, modern dentistry, and Eden Prairie, is important, and it always stays front and center. So a good activity you could do with your website is very simple. Is you can pull up your website, and then you can just go to the corner and you can continue to make it smaller and see how it tracks. Is it keeping the first fold up and center and keeping all the important information where it's supposed to be? Another cool example, a lot of people have videos in the background. And I don't believe either of these people have videos, but a lot of our clients have videos that they put in the background. And what we found is two things. One, videos help convert leads because they catch your eye. They're kind of, they keep you on the website longer, et cetera. But where videos hurt is they really hurt cell phones because they take too long to load. So someone clicks a website on a cell phone, which is where 80% of traffic comes from, and there's a video in the background that's loading. If the website takes longer than 3 seconds to load, they leave. So that's a really big problem. And so if you see right here, right when it switches from this big picture in the back that's kind of got the black and white around it, what we do is, if this was a video, as soon as it gets small enough to recognize it's on a cell phone, it kills the video and it goes to a still image. So what that does is that gives us both the best of both worlds. So it keeps the video for the desktops and for the places where it can convert higher, and then it will kill it to a still image, so that no videos pop up on mobile to hurt our load speed. Really? So your first fold is really important, but let's talk about a couple things that we're looking for in the first fold. The first thing that you want is you want to answer the question, are you in the area that I'm looking for? And do you provide the services that I need? And if a person cannot find that in the first 15 seconds of an eye scan, they're going to bounce off of your website. So it's very important that you are talking to a client. They already are sold on your service to an extent because they've Googled it and they've clicked on your website. So the first question that you need to answer is, are you in my area, and do you actually offer the service that I searched for? Do you actually offer what I'm looking for? So it's very important to just right out front say, what you provide and where you provide it. And I found a lot of websites, when we find them, they have terrible bounce rates. And when they add the location or they add the services, all of a sudden their bounce rates get significantly better. And it's because people are not like, you look at this every day, you look at your website, you take pride in it. No one cares. What they care about is, do you have what I need, right? They're not going, oh, wow, this looks like such an established practice. I'll overlook the fact that their website isn't exactly how I'm expecting it to be. And I'll pause and I'll get into a couple more things and then we'll kind of go to some more questions. But just to clarify, when I'm talking about what the user needs, we get over 500,000 visitors to our websites every single month. So we look at a heat map of where users' mouse goes. We look at what pages they go to, and we look at what their habits do on a quarterly basis. So every quarter, I look at over 1.5 million users to our websites to see what they say, what they think, and what makes them take action, what makes them leave. And then we make adjustments to our designs based off of that. So when I'm saying this is what a consumer is looking for, this is what they need, it's based off of some pretty good empirical data that we found over years of research. And the first fold is the first important thing. The second thing that's very important is a linear focus on what they should do. So what that means is your call to action, what you want them to do, needs to be very concise, clear, and you need to be pointing like a big arrow. This is what I want you to do. So another thing that I find is people get told confusing things. They have a click here to sign up for our email list, click here to call us, click here to book first appointment, click here to buy this special, click here to request more information. And it's very confusing. And there's something called the paradox of choice, which means when someone has too many choices, they make none. So you want a very linear, single focus call to action. So as you can see here, and then here's another one on a different theme. See, it looks very different, but this is modern dentistry for the whole family. So they're kind of, they want children as well. In Houston, request more information, request more information, request more information. There's 3 places for it, but it's all the same thing. If this was sign up for an email list, get, half off your braces, request more information, it's too confusing. Then when they request more information, it's very important. It doesn't go to another page. Just like you guys are skeptical of marketers, people are skeptical of who they give their information to on the internet. I see so many people, and what happens is they click request more information. It takes them to like maybe a backend CRM system. It has a completely different look and feel. It's on a different URL, and the people bounce off. And then boom, the first thing that we want from them, even if we're trying to sell them something, before we get their credit card information, the first thing we want from them is their name, phone number, and email. We want them to submit the information and then go to the next step. So that way, if they decide they don't want to make that purchase, they don't want to make that other call to action, they don't want to schedule that appointment, now we have their information and we are able to give that to our clients, and then they can work on converting that with their sales. So call to action is a big one. First fold is a big one. And then the last thing that I'll say, and then we can kind of get into some more Q&A about things that you could make sure your website has today, is when someone is coming from an inbound source, so they're searching for your service, they see your first fold, they know that you offer a service that they're interested in an area that they live in or they work in or whatever, what area they're looking for, but they're not ready to request more information yet. So they're like on the hook, all the boxes are checked, but they're not ready to request more information. So over 80% of the time, leads that go to, or traffic that goes to a second page, goes to one singular page. And this is across all industries. And this has been a tried and tested like formula over the whole time I've been at 97 Display. And a lot of people think it's services. A lot of people think it's the team, but really what it is the reviews page.
Really?
And it's not a testimonials page. And that's actually a big difference. Reviews versus testimonials is big. Testimonials is how great I'm doing. My teeth are this much straighter, this or that. Reviews are what the community is saying about the client. And so what happens is, and I'm sure your clients get this a lot. I bet there are a ton of people who want their services, but getting braces, especially as an adult, is just a painful experience sometimes. Like maybe they don't, it's not a fun thing that they're running to. I know my wife actually has to get braces, and we put it off until after the wedding because she didn't want to have wedding, braces with her wedding photo. Mm-hmm. And so that's a very intimate thing. Some with people with their teeth, they get very careful. That's a very personal thing to work on someone's teeth and talk about that. And so a lot of times, the first thing people do is they'll come here and they'll go to reviews. And what they want is to see what the community, people like them, are saying about the services that were being offered. Is it an environment that makes them feel comfortable? Are they following through? So this is a really cool thing that we've seen where you just put the logo, because everyone knows Google, everyone knows Facebook. And then you just put the reviews. Sometimes people like to put the big 5 stars up. We work with people based off of their aesthetics. So then as you see, the call to action is still the same up here. So what we're doing is we're looking, okay, are they ready? Boom, request information. Let's see, they scroll all the way down to the bottom. They read all of the reviews that we have up. Boom, request more information. It's like always there. Now, maybe they read the reviews. They want to know, what services do they offer? So now they're looking at services and, general dentistry. Boom, I've got enough, request more information. Get more information now. So what's happening is, and then as you see, when they're putting up the leads, this client has it set up where the reviews are right there. So it's like right in your face. Hey, this is positive things the community is saying about me. So it's a pretty major thing that I see a lot of people get wrong is they give their people too many options or not enough options. I recently moved and I was looking for a gym local to my area. Me and my wife were into CrossFit. And I researched a couple CrossFit gyms, and on their website, there was no way for them to contact me. So it's like, now I have to go through, I have to go Google, I have to find their phone, I have to call them. And so that's just called a barrier to entry. That means I have to be really motivated to get to CrossFit because I have to take more and more steps. And so we want to make this as seamless as possible. Before I get into some back-end stuff about how we do after we get them to convert, those are 3 things just to kind of hit on. Any other questions or things that stood out to you that may be good to go over, Keaton?
Yeah, I love what you said about the reviews page is fascinating. And there's a couple things. So I want to talk about that. And then one other thing that I want to mention as well after. But what's amazing about reviews pages and just reviews in general, I've heard them compared to online currency. Like you can trade, forget Bitcoin, let's get some reviews for your orthodontic practice. And the reason that they're so valuable is that people see themselves in the other reviews. So if it's a girl's name, if it's a name that you can obviously tell is from a specific ethnic background, then you're going to identify more with that if you come from the same background or if you're of that same gender. And then the story that they tell in there, like, oh, before I came into this office, I was skeptical. I wasn't sure. I thought it was way too expensive. And then this and this happened. So you're taking people that are already your ideal customers and you're getting them to sell your practice for you, which is the smartest way to go about it, because you don't have to talk about how amazing you are. other people are telling the story that made them believe how amazing you are. And
Yep.
that's already selling it to the other people as well. So I think that's incredible. And then the other part that I really like to stress with my doctors, which I think absolutely no one is doing, maybe 1% of orthodontists are doing, is collecting that name, phone, and email as much as possible. Because even if you get, let's say you get 100 leads through that website a quarter, let's say that'd probably be a really low amount, but just for that, so 400 a year, and those 400 leads, of that, a few of them reach out to you. Let's say every month there's just 10 or so that submit their information but never get back to you. If all of the orthodontists that I work with collected those phone numbers, I have a system in my marketing agency where we take those and we can take an extra 30, 40 leads every month, plug them into a text message campaign and say, hey, we
Hmm.
saw you were interested. We're offering 500 off for back to school or for Martin Luther King Jr. Day, whatever it is. And all of a sudden you've enticed people who have raised their hand and said, hey, I'm interested, at least interested enough to request more information, but I never answered the phone or I never booked an appointment. And you're just retargeting them. And I can't tell you how many orthodontists I've talked to are like, oh yeah, I mean, if they submit their information on the website, I never reach back out to them. Why would I do that? And you're leaving, tens of thousands of dollars on the table every
Yep.
single year without following up with those leads that come through the website.
Yeah, that's a really big thing, and that's why I like working with people that take this approach of like taking things seriously, because you
Mhm.
can get as many leads as possible, but if you're not doing anything with them, it's like filling up a bucket with a hole in the bottom.
So true.
And so one of the things that we do to encourage you, or let's say you have a front desk person, that's working. When a lead comes in on the website, there's a very interesting thing. People in America are very, impatient. They want immediate things. That's why, honestly, I don't even online shop. I know Amazon does 2 days, but I would rather drive to get it, because when I get it in my mind, I want to buy something, I want to drive there and get it now. So if I'm calling about Invisalign,
Yeah.
I don't want to wait a week to hear. And in
Yes.
fact, Harvard Business School did a review of over 1,000 local businesses. And what they found over like a 3-month study is that when an online lead submitted themselves, people were 100 times more likely to answer the phone if they were called within the first 5 minutes than if they waited even just 5 minutes. So you may be thinking, I'm a busy orthodontist. How the heck am I going to do that? So that's why we built two things. One is called Instant Connect. So what happens is the second the lead inputs their information, and remember, 80% of traffic is on a phone. So likely they're putting their information on the phone. They want to know about braces, Invisalign, a service that you offer. Your phone at your practice is going to get a call. Your phone's going to ring. When you pick it up, an automated voice will say, this is 97 display. John Smith just registered for more information. Press 1 to connect. All you have to do is press 1 on your phone, or your front desk person pushes 1 on their phone, and it automatically calls the lead from a local area code that we provide, area code phone number we provide for you. And you can get in touch with them instantly. If you don't get in touch with them, or you can't call them, we also can send them an automatic text, because now what's happening is people get spam calls all the time. So they're even less likely today to answer their phone than they were, even like 2 years ago. And
Mhm.
so we found 98% of people read all of their texts within the first 5 minutes they receive them. So what we can do is we can give all your leads an automatic text alert saying, thanks for requesting information, and ask whatever question that you want to put in there. And then you can actually two-way text through our backend CRM all the leads that come up. So the lead conversion is as important as getting the leads, because the only thing more frustrating than not getting leads is getting a ton of leads, seeing a lot of money on the table, and not converting any of it into dollars. That's
Yes.
like the most frustrating world to live in.
And I've harped on this. Like, if anybody's ever listened to me talk, I always harp on lead conversion, lead conversion. This was why we moved from a lead generation agency at OrthoPatients to an appointment booking agency,
Mm,
is because honestly, we got sick of front desk people that weren't willing to follow up quick enough. And that speed
yeah,
to lead is just, it's crucial.
yeah.
So now, just anybody listening to this, he knows exactly what he's talking about. And it's so true. It's so true. And
We
so important.
I had a client maybe like a month or two ago, in COVID season,
Yeah.
call me up wanting to cancel. And I look, and he's gotten 100 leads in the past 30 days. And this was a combination of inbound and outbound leads.
Mm-hmm.
And so I usually don't take those calls, but I was like, well, this is super interesting. He's like smashing it with us.
Yeah.
What's going on? And I call him. He's like, dude, I can't do this. Like, it's too many leads. Like, what am I supposed to do with all this? I can't make 10 calls a day. And I was like, well, how about we hire someone? Let's talk through what it would take to hire a high school student, or a college intern for 15 bucks an hour, 10 bucks an hour, and give them a simple script. And how many times over could they pay for themselves if they converted, an extra lead a week?
Yeah.
So it's kind of, again, leverage with the lead conversion. That's why I like working with people like Keaton. Like, I love selling the appointment services rather than just the lead services, specifically with outbound leads, because it's another way to leverage,
Yes.
that opportunity. And then, like you said, once, if you have like a text follow-up and all these, follow-up conversion things, you take your inbound leads, you collect them, you take the 30 that you didn't get in contact with, and you just put them in the system, and they're just hearing from you constantly.
Exactly.
And maybe they went to another service, or maybe they just decided this year isn't the year, something happened with their job, they didn't want to invest the money, they don't feel like talking to you to tell you about it. It takes 6 months for them to convert.
Yeah.
And the people who go out and try, they're going to get it. The people who don't, 6 months from now, they're going to start the process all over again if they don't hear from you, if you're not top of mind for them.
Exactly.
So that's really, really important.
And it's that, just understanding the difference between traffic online that you don't own and traffic that you do own. If you have somebody's name and email, you own their information, and therefore you can reach out to them for free, whereas everything else is going to cost you money. And there's just, everybody's sitting on a gold mine. It's just,
Yep.
Nobody's really leveraging it. Love it. Well, that was great.
Absolutely.
I'm learning. I learned a lot from that conversion, everything you talked about on the website. Let's quickly go over some SEO pillars that you guys focus on. What do you have on this evolving platform that you've created? Like, what are the current trends in the industry, and what do you provide for your clients there?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's kind of two pieces to SEO. One is the makeup of your website. And so here's another thing that it's like a red flag warning for people who pay for SEO only services.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have anything to do with your website, because the truth of the matter is your website and SEO are interconnected. They're like one and the same. So what that means is, if you look at certain areas of your website, like the service you offer, and let's say we're talking about Invisalign, you're going to go to that page that talks about that service you offer, and it's going to be 4 paragraphs long, all about Invisalign. So who that's not written for is the people that are searching on the website, because 1% of people are going to read all 4 of those paragraphs. They're going to see Invisalign, they get it, they're going to click. But who does read every word of that is Google's AI. And so when we're writing all of that copy, we're writing it for Google. And so one of the services that we provide at 97 Display is we do all of the copywriting for you. So obviously we want to make sure if there's any specific things that you want to hit, we want to make sure the look and feel and culture comes through your unique value proposition. But all of that copy that we write is uniquely written for Google to make sure that the keywords are in the right place. So what that will do is that will help you rank. If someone searches, maybe instead of just for an orthodontist near me, that may be a popular search. Another search may be, a specific brand of Invisalign that you sell, or specific, or maybe let's just use Invisalign, like, Invisalign for adults in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So part of the page that's going to be ranking is just your overall orthodontic site, but part of the page that's going to be ranking is the inner page in your services that's all about Invisalign. And because your copy is there, and we call it where you're putting your right keywords, and the keywords are like, Winston-Salem, Invisalign, all the things that Google likes, in the right order, in the right places, with the right amount of pictures and headings, then Google is going to say, hey, this person is looking for Invisalign specifically, for adults specifically, in this specific city. Here are 3 orthodontic practices. But this one actually has an inner page that has all these keywords that they're looking for, and it has all this traffic with these bounce rates. We're going to throw this page up first. And so then what is going to happen is your inner pages are going to start ranking. And so we take care of all of that for you. The copywriting is one. How you do your like alt tags and your meta tags, and how you like upload your pictures and the quality and things like that, all of that matters as well. You can get really nerdy into that, but that's kind of the composition of your website.
Nice.
As well as Laws are changing, right? So probably you're not aware of this if you're a local business in the States, but there's a whole thing called the GDPR. It's really big in the UK right now. It's all of
Yeah.
these laws. It's like Keaton said, once you have their information, you own it. And what the people in the UK are doing is saying, hey, we want to make sure that the people know that you own their information before they submit their lead. And so it's this big to do. And we have maybe 100 or so people in the UK. And a lot of the people with our competitors were like, it's going to take 6 months for us to get this updated because they have 100 clients and they all need this updated. But because we own our own platform, we were able to make one thing and say, for all people in the UK, push these changes forward. And we were able to make everyone GDPR compliant on time. So now California is coming out with similar laws. And anytime, it's like you said, the Google slaps, they release a new iPhone that's even bigger. Google's going to come out and say, hey, we want your websites to perform this way for iPhones now because we want the experience to be as good as possible for Apple users. If you're not there, you're going to kill your rankings. So that's one. And then the other is kind of on your side, and we help with this, but it's like writing some blogs. And again, blogs are very similar. They're not there necessarily for your users to read, people to read. They're there for Google to read. So that way, when someone searches best solutions for getting straight teeth for adults, your blog pops up with the 5 best solutions or the 2 best solutions for adults who want to fix their teeth. And it's on your website with that request more information right there, ready to go with the reviews. So blogs are really important, and we can help our clients say, these are blogs based off of where you live and the keywords people are searching for, you should write about. And then the last one that you need to do, and this is homework for everyone, if you're still listening to this, God bless you. Go find your reviews page, your Google My Business page, make sure everything's succinct. Google does such a good job of saying, hey, here's your progress, you're 80%. Anybody who logs on Google My Business and it says, oh, we're 80% of the way through, make it 100. Google really likes that. And one of the best lead sources ever is that Google Maps page, the Google My Business page. Mm-hmm. And that is largely based off location. So you can rank, you can get preferential treatment on that in some ways, but it's largely based off location where someone, you search restaurants near me, all of the closest restaurants pop up in order. But this is where what you said, Keaton, matters is reviews. Reviews is social currency. Yeah. When you are in a new city and you want to go to a restaurant, what do you search? Restaurants near me. You look at the first 5 restaurants that pop up. So that's based off luck where you're at. But then how do you pick which restaurant you click to look at the menu? You look at the reviews. And people ask me all the time, how many reviews do I need? The answer is a significant amount more than your competition. So that means if your competition has 4, 10 would suffice. If your competition has 50, maybe you need 70. But what that's going to do is it's like, if you look at it, like going to the website is like going on a first date. Let's say that I'm going on a first date and I don't know anything about the person. It's a blind date. And I don't really like the way that she's dressed or she says something that kind of like doesn't jive with me immediately. I'm pretty quickly to say, baby, this isn't working out. But if right before I went on that date, my best friend called me up and was like, I can't wait for you to meet this girl. She's fantastic. She's smart. All this, all these great things. She talks her up, and I walk in and she's wearing that thing that I don't like, or she says something that doesn't jive with me. I'm going to give her another chance. That's what reviews do.
Huge.
So maybe your service offering isn't exactly what they want. Maybe your website isn't exactly the best. But if they saw before they went, and there are 70 people in their community saying 5 out of 5 stars, here's great things, they're going to be more inclined to overlook that and still go click more information, even if they have to dig for it. Yeah. So that's a big thing with SEO as well, is look at your Google My Business, see what you look, just be honest with yourself. Ask your spouse or your friend, someone who will be honest. Pull up Google My Business, look at you and your competition and say, hey, who would you click on if you looked at these options? And if it's your competition, that's a big problem. And reviews are the fastest way to fix that.
Amazing. Yeah, I have a friend whose dad owns an auto shop out here actually. And I was saying, I haven't really done a lot of auto shop. I assume it's very inbound leads, very has to do with SEO. And talked to another connection who does marketing for auto shops. And he said, you could build a 6 or 7 figure auto shop business just by getting 150 good reviews on your business and optimizing your Google My Business page. And crazy the amount of cash that's left on the table for any small business owner that isn't taking advantage of the free service that Google offers. And there's, I think Elon Musk, Bill Gates, everybody said Google is not going anywhere. It's a giant mountain
Yeah.
that can't be moved, and you got to play by their rules. So
Yeah. Yeah, they are the shot callers of the day. And people ask me all the time, like, well, what happens when Facebook goes away? What happens when it's like that will be a different world,
mhm.
and that is far away. Like
Yeah,
the answer is I don't know, but it will be. I mean,
yeah,
it's here to stay for a long time. It's not as fluctuating as it used to be with like, oh, is Yahoo, is it Bing, is it Google? No, Google runs the world. They own everything, and we need to appease them. So the
yeah,
last thing I say about SEO is it's very complicated. There's a lot of things, and like you said, it changes all the time. We have a whole team that updates your site on the back end for you constantly without you ever having to worry about it. And then if you ever read an article or you have a question or you're talking about websites and you want to sound smart to your colleagues and they ask you a question that you don't know the answer to, you have unlimited access to give us a call and talk to a Google certified partner. So we're a Google certified partner. We're really proud of that. There's some third party verification from Google saying that we're doing the right things. We spend a lot of time making sure that everyone is up to date and everyone's certifications through Google are up to date to maintain that. And you have unlimited time with us. Some of our clients don't take advantage of that at all. And some of our clients, they use us like a coaching service almost. Every month for half an hour, they're talking to our SEO specialist saying, what should I blog about this month? What should my Google My Business page could I do better? How many reviews should I get? What are things that I could be working on to get more traffic? And obviously, the people who use the tools like that are going to see the best results. But
yeah.
even if you don't want to do that, we are working on the back end and constantly updating that for you for the life of your membership with us.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for your time, Houston. Why don't we close out? You can just give us again, like name the price of the monthly service, what that
Yeah.
includes, and then how these guys can reach out to you because I'm sure there's going to be a huge flood.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple things. We're $325 a month. That includes all the services that we talked about. I would love if you have specific questions, obviously you can reach out to me. Typically we charge $1,000 up front to build the website and get it built. I was talking to Keaton before this. I know that y'all are working with him. He's doing some awesome things. And I know that some of the people listening maybe have spent a ton of money on websites. So we want to talk about how we can bring you as much immense value as possible and put the pressure on us to deliver. So for anyone listening to this webinar, if you email me and let me know that you heard this on this webinar, we're doing $97 down, and that starts and that gets your website built within 30 days.
Wow.
So we're taking really all of the risk and taking all the pressure off of you. Where you get a website built for $97, it costs me a lot more than that to build a website. So it's really on me to bring that value. And if you don't like the team, you don't like the website, and we're not producing way more value than you expect, you're out less than $100. So you can email me at Houston, Houston, at 97display.com. Houston, just like the city, at 97display.com. That'd be the best way to reach out to me.
Awesome. Amazing deal. I didn't even know about the awesome discount you guys were going to give. So that's great.
Yeah.
And if anybody else has further questions for me, you know how to reach me on social media. All the links will be below this video as well. You can always email me. Thank you so much, Houston, again. And I'm super excited for any local business owner in any niche, but especially the orthodontist listening to this today to take advantage of something that could have 15x ROIs literally. So
yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate
Perfect,
that.
man. Well, thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, appreciate it.